The Dele Alli Gary Neville interview was emotionally intense, heavy, and sad. But I want to use this opportunity to have a greater conversation. I think there's a lot that we can learn from that interview. I highly suggest, if you haven't watched that interview yet, pause, go check it out, search Dele Alli Gary Neville interview. It'll come up. Go watch it and then come back here so that you have more context as we unpack this conversation and topic at hand. Dele's story is a true story of, started from the bottom all the way to the top, to the pinnacle and the heights of modern day football, becoming a British superstar. In the interview, we discover so many things that challenged Dele Alli and so many obstacles that he had to face on his way to reaching the heights of football. Dele Alli, in his peak years, if you guys remember that, around, I think I'd say 2015-16 to 2017-18, and then the drop-off kind of began at 2019 for Tottenham Hotspurs. I mean, what a talent. I mean, I hadn't seen in so many years a British footballer that had what I believe was, the characteristics and traits and abilities that Dele Alli possessed. Just dominating the game, scoring crazy goals. What an attacking midfield player. It seemed like he really had it all. What we discovered in this interview is that footballers are humans and humans are layered. It really looked like Dele Alli had it all working for him. The world was his oyster and he was just at the top of everything. In the interview, he mentions things that are so heart-wrenching and sad about his childhood traumas and the things that he had to face before he even became the superstar footballer Dele Alli, such as being abused as a child, selling drugs at a young age, getting into crime, and being held over a bridge when he was like 11. I mean, it's just unbelievable that a child had to go through those kind of things. I remember being a young kid, I thought that the ultimate dream was to become a professional footballer. I mean, the glitz, the glam, the fame, the money, the attention, the superstardom, everything. What we are discovering more and more now is that it's actually not as it seems, and there are so many difficulties just in the football industry alone. I mean, think about this is just the struggles that the superstars we know of that actually made it are going through. Imagine those players, some of you might be watching now. You've been trying your best. You're playing for an academy. You're just trying to get a contract, that first professional contract at like a second division team, something like that. You might get cut. They end the contract. There's so much disappointment that comes with football. Your coach not playing you when you believe that you should be playing. You believe that you're the best on the team, but there's just something that he's not seeing or he doesn't want to see in you. And that can definitely lead to so much disappointment, which, if you don't handle it correctly, could easily lead to feeling depressed, beating yourself up, not thinking that you're good enough. And this is where it really is important to have, a good support structure around you, or just someone to talk to. Dele, talks about how there were certain people in his life that did want to help him, but he says that he rejected their help because he thought that he could just do it on his own, until eventually now he's realized that he cannot do it by himself, which is why we even saw him sit down with Gary Neville and be that in-depth and honest about things that, went on in his career so far, when he was behaving badly, being labeled as a party animal, being labeled as lazy, not hardworking. Dele unpacks that and he says that, you never know what someone's going through. And he was dealing with these traumas, but he had suppressed all of these emotions and traumas deep within himself and hadn't told anyone about them. Another major thing that Dele Alli pointed out that I also want to build upon is the use of sleeping pills. He says that over time he became addicted to sleeping pills which is why he had to go into rehab and check himself in. But he says that it is actually a huge problem within the footballing fraternity and the footballing industry that many people don't mention. But he says that he knows that he's not the only one who might be struggling with this addiction. And I think it is so true, because even with like an injury, for example, there's so many stories I've heard of footballers, they got injured once, and then because they needed to get back in the team quickly because the team needed them and they were a key player in the team, they had to rush recovery, maybe continue playing while injured. So they would start taking painkillers at a heavy rate and a large amount in order to numb that pain. And then over that time, you develop a dependency. And now they've become hooked. And now, even when they're not playing football or they're at home, they needed to sleep. It starts messing with their, just the person that they are. And now their interpersonal relationships with other people around them, their family members. I mean, it goes even further into hardcore drugs. And, we know with a footballing lifestyle, fame, the woman, the money, the attention, nightclubs, the lifestyle, it can get so much so easily. And I think there hasn't been that much of an honest or as honest of a conversation about, what's really going on, in the football industry with these, or just the athletes in general, I also believe that it's like, it's so layered, because even you always have to fight for your spot, because there's always someone hungrier that wants your spot. There's always another young kid coming out from the academy, or some superstar player that's lit and making it happen in the Venezuelan league, that gets signed for like 50 million pounds, new Premier League player. Like, there's always transfers, so there's always competition. Also, the window for your career is so short. I mean, I would say that footballers get 10 years if they're lucky, of like a proper career at the top, big club signings, big wages, big contracts. 5, I would even say, if you're lucky. But most players, I think, will experience 2-3 years maybe at the top, and that's not even taking into account injuries, getting more form. Now everyone wants results now. The society that we win, everything's quick and instant. We want a coach, the manager himself is not even given as much time as previously, previous generations ago. Once a manager is signed on a big money contract for a club now, he needs to come in, instantly hit the ground running, win. It's not different with the players. So there's so much stress, there's so much pressure. And I think that's why, one of the reasons, I don't think it's all the reasons, but one of the reasons why we've seen the decline of Dele Alli. I mean, he was in Besiktas, which is in Turkey now. He's back from there. He was on a loan. He had disagreements and things with the coaches there, and he wasn't really playing, and they were saying that he wasn't really training hard enough, he wasn't showing up. So he wanted to clear that up in the interview as well. It's just, sorry. This is just my raw thoughts, my raw reaction. I'm going to sit with it a bit more. It really got me thinking, how can I continue, some of these conversations? Because we're in the society now where, everyone wants to be an influencer, everyone wants to be a model, everyone wants to be a rapper, everyone wants to be a musician, everyone wants to be a footballer, and it all looks a certain way on the outside, but you don't really know what's going on in the actual industry. And are you prepared for that? Do you have the mentality? Have you prepared yourself mentally? Are you strong enough to deal with those constant rejections, with those no's, with fighting for your spot continuously, with having to perform at the best and highest level, regardless of what's going on in your personal life, regardless of if you're going through a divorce, or your girlfriend just broke up with you, or you're feeling lonely. That's another huge problem that I've heard even Alphonso Davies speak about, that for a young footballer especially, because the older footballers, they have a family, wife and kids, and some of that stuff. So Alfonso was talking about himself in Germany, Bayern Munich. He was like 20 when he got there. And for him, he didn't have a wife, he didn't have kids. So when after training, when they go back home, he just goes home to himself and he's just on social media and he feels lonely. And even though the older guys would invite him over, he didn't want to feel like a burden. And so he just keep to himself. So it can be very isolating, no doubt. Also, you don't know who to trust, who's there for the money, who's there for you genuinely, who really cares about you. It's tricky. So many trust issues, you know, people, family members trying to use you as a cash cow, or your friends. We saw with Pogba. Pogba's another one. I think he's gone through a similar thing that Dele's gone through. So yeah, for the time being here at Central Mania, guys, let's build on this conversation. It's a very important one. Let's see how we can, what are the ways to assist, you know, athletes or footballers, human beings, all of us included. You know, we're all part of, you know, not just football, but we're part of life. We're part of the human race. Let's figure out ways that we can, because I don't know if this is, in fact, I do know it's not healthy. You know, how, you know, for Dele to be talking about those kind of things that unfortunately went on with him at like 6 years old, and for him to be carrying all of that, and then on top of that, the entire pressure of being a superstar footballer in England, and then when you don't live up to the standards, you know, you just kind of pushed to the side and labeled a bad boy or a diva, a problem, unpleasant to work with. And there's always deeper things. So I don't think this is an excuse. I don't think you should use it as an excuse, Dele, even if you're watching this. Thank you so much for being brave enough to share your story and be honest enough to share it, because I think you can help a lot of people out with the things that you said there. And we're having this greater conversation now. But I believe it should be used to understand, you know, some of the behaviors and the actions. But I don't believe that, and I believe that he can only get stronger from this. You know, he needs to take this as, and this applies to all of us, you know, just take the things that we're really struggling with, that are challenging us, and find the best, most positive, productive way to go about it. Because once you go through the fire, you can only come out stronger, guys. Don't give up. I mean, he was talking about wanting to retire at 24 years old. He was 24 and he was looking at himself in the mirror like, I should just retire now. That is heartbreaking, you know? That's why we push here at Central Mania, guys. We never give up. We're not quitters. I mean, imagine Dele just gave up like that and retired at 24 with all that talent wasted. Hell no. No, it's not happening. So I thank him so much for being resilient enough. And guys, Dele is only 27 years old. 27 years old. It feels like he's been here forever, man. I mean, that's how talented the kid is. We knew him back then and he was so young. And just performing at a high level like that. So let's be patient with each other. Let's be compassionate with each other, guys. Let's support each other, help each other out, but also let's encourage ourselves to, you know, speak when you need help. There's nothing weak about asking for help. You know, mental health issues, don't abuse them. Don't use them as a crutch. Don't also use them to get away with certain things. Even though they exist, the mental issues that you might have are existing, no doubt. No one's denying that. But don't use them as an excuse to get away with certain things, and then, you know, you're enabled by it, and you're enabled by people because, oh, you know, they have this and that. It's not a healthy way to go about it, and I don't think you'll become a stronger and greater person for yourself and those around you by doing that. So that's my thoughts, guys. Thank you so much for watching the video. Hit the subscribe button, become a maniac, join the maniacs here at Central Mania. like, share. If you guys enjoyed it, it really helps the channel out. It helps me do more of these videos, as well as the documentaries, as well as the short films. I mean, just, you know, the things that we do here, you can check the catalog on the videos. I'll be back again with another one, but for now, one love, guys. Keep it central, keep grinding, keep hustling, and these keep conquering these days that come ahead. We got each other. That's all we got. Yeah.